I'm an artist, again, I really give thanks for Chronixx. He really showed me the power of music, And of course, you can make enjoyment music, but let me tell you, man, in years to come, if you serve humanity as a musician and as a creative with music where we really help them, then that's how you become revolutionary, you know what I mean?
Welcome to the Style and Vibes podcast with me, Michaela. I'll be giving you the inside scoop on music, fashion, culture, and more from Caribbean celebrities and tastemakers across the globe, pushing our culture with authenticity and, of course, style and vibes. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Style and Vibes podcast with yours truly, Michaela. If you are new here, welcome to the family. If you are returning, welcome back, family. Today we are talking to a music artist. You guys know how much I love music, reggae music. That's how I feel with thing. And today we are talking to Hector Roots Lewis, and he has an album out, which we are going to talk about. But we have to talk about your journey. I really want to start from the beginning. So welcome to the family. No, you're a family member,
No, man, give thanks for the invitation, Michaela, Yeah,
Absolutely,
man.
absolutely. Well, tell me how you got started in music. Like, tell me about your background, where you grew up, your family life. Tell me more, talk all of the things then.
Yeah. Well, the music journey started for me at a tender age. My mother is also a recording artist. She passed away a few years ago, but she used to sing and record music and put out music. So we always grew up hearing her sing songs. We always hear songs on TV and on the radio. So we always had it around us. And she also made sure to make myself and my siblings know that, yo, you can sing, you can do music. So it was from there. And then, I was a part of the church choir, from the children's choir to the adult choir. And then even in prep school, I was a part of the prep school choir. And then when I went to high school, I became a part of the high school choir. And I did a lot of competitions when I was in high school for music. Like there's a competition called the JCDC Festival. And I mean, it expands to like various levels of competition. But in the high school, I used to do that a lot until after high school, I went to the Edna Manley College of Visual and Performing Arts, where I decided to study to be a teacher and a performer. And that's where I learned like drum set and percussion and strengthening the vocals. And then right after that, I started like doing local gigs with bands, in and out of college. And then in 2012, I went on my first tour with Shireen Anderson as a drummer. And I did that for a little while. And then in 2013, that's when I met Chronixx. And I toured with him extensively for like 10 plus years. That's like that touring stage was the highlight moment of me as a musician, touring with such a prolific artist. And I mean, in between touring with him, I was playing for other known names, you know what I mean? Like from the Beanie Mans to everybody you can think about, Christopher Martin, Romain Virgo, everybody. But I was still also working with Chronixx, also working with like Kabaka, Jesse Royal, just on one-off stuff, It wasn't until around 2016 where I really got into songwriting. And Chronixx used to always encourage us in the band to, write songs, even though, we're more focused on our instrument that was playing and our role. So it kind of got me to thinking, and he's one of the inspiration towards my songwriting until like 2020 when the world stopped. That's when I got really, really serious. And yeah, I wrote some songs with a producer by the name of JLL. He sent me some rhythms and I wrote to them, and we didn't have in mind to do an EP, but it eventually built to that. And yeah, the rest is history after that, the EP, then now the album. So yeah,
How would you say you have grown? Like, you've already had such an extensive career from being a singer as a young person, going into the band and touring life, and now putting out your own music. You've had such a vast experience. Tell me, like, what was like some of the most interesting? I know you talked about, your time touring with Chronixx as being inspirational, but what would you what really was that pivotal moment that you're like, yeah, I'm gonna put out music, my own music?
Well, it was more like looking back at the different things that was happening. Like for example, when we did the NPR Tiny Desk, if you
I
look
saw
back on
that.
that, yeah, if you look
Yeah,
on that, a lot of the comments were like
yeah.
speaking about me. So, like I said, 2020, I believe, was the reflective time for me to be like, let's really look into what makes making records, you know what I mean, like for real. Cause 2016, I was making records, but it was like, all right, I was making records and doing records, right? And I was writing and everything. Cause I can't really say I didn't really take it serious. I've been taking it serious, but I think
Mm-hmm.
in 2021, I got signed and for distribution and thing, and I think that's where it kind of got more serious for me to like try and make songs that can actually match the level I was at, But the Tiny Desk definitely was an encouragement. And just like everywhere I went, I mean, locally, I would sing at different, what I say now, locations that have like jam session and live music. And it's just a reception from everybody. And I also feel like internally, I wanted to see how far I could get if I really took it, professionally by, having a little team with you, having certain subscriptions and applications that make the artist brand more accessible and more marketable in the space,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I feel like it's just my love for music, if I want to put it in a nutshell, that really kind of pushed me to really, take songwriting and being an artist very, very, very serious, outside of working in a band. So, I've always seen it though. Like I've always had good feedback with my vocals and
Mm-hmm.
so yeah man, yeah man. Yeah, work with a lot of people over the years to before even now, that really helped me to from 2016 to now. So yeah.
So not only were you touring with Chronixx, but you also stepped in to fill in for Tribal Seed while their leader was taking a hiatus. What was that like, and how did that come about?
Well, they had reached out to us again, based on just seeing me perform and
Mm-hmm.
seeing performances on YouTube. And, you know, um, they told me about the situation. And at the time, I really, myself and my team really thought it was a good idea and a good venture to go on, because now it wasn't only replacing him, it was a chance for me to enter a new market, a
Mm-hmm.
market that I've never entered as a solo artist. I've probably played as, in band and stuff. So it was great. It was great. It was nerve wracking because here I am stepping into a space that everybody know that lead singer, and they didn't really know about me and what I can do as a lead singer.
Mm-hmm.
But with every show, it changed the minds of the people with every show.
Yeah.
Every show, everybody was like, this is what, the vibe is, and, good replacement for Steve I, and just everything. Everything was good. Step by step, show by show. It was great. It also gave me the chance to see the type of work that it takes to be a frontman. And I
Mm-hmm.
think I'm still learning about that each and every day. Every time you go out there, because it's really, really different. You're really in the spotlight, and the amount of eyes that are on you, or the amount of ears that's
Mm-hmm.
listening to you, it's just a different mindfulness that you have to have. You have to always, it showed me that you have to always, if anything, be as steady as you can in your mind, in your heart, in your vocal, you understand, to deliver um, in your lead singer role. So I was really happy to go through that even before going on tour as a solo artist. I was happy
Mm-hmm.
to get that training ground with the Tribal Seeds brothers. They've always supported the journey, and it was great, man. It was great to do that.
Yeah,
Really
it
great.
seems like you could probably give good advice on maintaining relationships in the industry, because I think, not only are you talented but and aligned with the right people, but I think people forget that part of the music business, and that music is so um about the feeling, and a lot of
Yeah.
times that comes through building relationships with people either on tour or being in similar spaces. Talk to me about how you've kind of maintained and built those relationships over the years in the business.
I mean, we give thanks for the music, cause that's where it starts a lot of the times, if not all the time. So I think, making good music and also just being, trying to keep the basis of humility and just being yourself and not allowing the business or the industry or whatever it is to kind of take over your mind and change into a different person. I'm a social person. Yeah, I'm a social person with borders, and thing. But I'm a social person. I try to make people feel welcome to
Yeah.
be able to talk to me. And like I said, the music, I once you hear it, once you start talking, be like, yo, I heard a song or you have music. And so I try to do that, respect at the basis of everything, to each and every one. Don't matter if I don't know the artist or if streaming is that or whatever, because at the end of the day, you just never know. And even outside of that, I think it's just something that we just have to do. It helps me to maintain and remain the way I was before I became a pro or before I went professional, when it was just doing it for the love of the thing,
Mhm.
when, it was a joy to just find another creative like yourself in the space and just make music with them. And it's a hard thing to balance. Of course, you're trying to watch quality control and all of that, but that's the way I do it, yeah. Continue to work with different musicians from all over the world. I'm never afraid to tap into a new market either. Never, never, never
Mhm.
afraid to do that, because at the end of the day, the music won't reach there unless you do it. I mean, some people's situations are different. Some people just blow up right away. And even then, you still have to make that very clinical and very like intentional move to enter these markets, to speak to these people, to collaborate with these people. That was
Mhm.
another highlight with Tribal Seeds, where we felt like it was good if we did a song together while doing this whole movement, and it worked. It's almost like 3 years, 4 years now since the song has been out, and it has definitely been one of the pillars to help my career to stay like relevant and active among the other songs that I've done. So yeah, you just have to keep it iron, man. Just be flexible and have an open mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So not only are you a talented musician, but you are now an actor. You were
Yeah,
in the I don't know if
yeah,
that was your
man.
first role, but you played Carlton Barrett in the Bob Marley One Love movie.
Yeah, yeah, man.
Tell me about that experience for you.
Yes, it's my first role um in a film. I've done theater acting when I was younger, in church plays, high school theater plays, even college theater plays. I did a musical once. But the experience for that, wow, outer body, just surreal, meeting professional actors, the crew, the different equipment. It was 15 hours a day. But I was really honored, to be a storyteller of a story that is from where I'm from. And I think that's the real special thing about it. And it was one of the moments that drove me to see what I could really do. And since that, I know I can do anything, because to study for a role and to try to bring that to life is just not the easiest thing.
Hmm.
And acting on screen also is different from acting on stage.
Hmm.
So that was also a different type of experience, but it was all around good. I was always excited. I was always motivated. The Marley family really welcomed us. Ziggy and Steven and Sidella, they really welcomed us to be a part of the story. And the director Ronaldo, also made it very, very, what I say now, a collective experience that nobody felt lesser than anybody. And I know that, Hollywood acting it can be a little bit strenuous, but it wasn't as strenuous as I thought it would be. So that was great. Um, yeah, Kingsley Benedict, that's one of my good brethren since the movie. He gave me a lot of encouragement. He's also a brilliant actor in my eyes. And yeah, the whole thing was great, man. I think it was great that Jamaica got a little spotlight. I think it was great that we're able to also film in Jamaica around the people, actual spaces that Bob went, actual spaces that Carly went. And to be able to do a LA premiere, movie premiere, you know what I mean? To be able to be a part of a movie that won a BET award, that got nominated for, what is that? The NAACP. That's what, yeah, so it's just the whole thing been great, man. It's one of those long lasting, forever prosperous moments that I'll always have, and I'm happy that I was able to do it. I was chosen to do it, and I'm looking into doing more film. Yeah,
Now, being on set, and even, we grew up with Bob Marley, we hear the music and the
yeah.
catalog. Doing that movie did it change your perspective in terms of the catalog and your connection to Bob Marley as an artist? Like, did it change you, give you a different perspective, inspire you? I'm just curious.
Definitely, Bob Marley is such a brave and purposeful artist that, I've always watched documentaries with other artists, but to be so close and to be so in depth with the story, the things he did, definitely inspired me, man. I'm even trying to align everything in my head to how it inspired me. But, the Exodus album, when we listen to that album and just the stories and how that project was made, it just shows the depths of Bob and like I said, the bravery and like I said earlier, that intentional purpose to tap into another market without having a big song then, you know what I mean? And that's very inspiring, man. It took a lot of strength. It took a lot of not listening to what other people say, and to really try and produce this thing. Bob is an overall inspiration. Even the way he wanted to tap into the African market before there was even a structure, I think was very brave and very like gangster too, you know what I mean? Like, yo, I want to do this and I want to use my money to do this, or you know what I mean? So the songwriting, even learning that he never really rushed his songwriting, That's a little by a little, everything. And it's a true thing. Sometimes songs come to you as a full thing. Sometimes it come half, it come piece by, but a lot of these great songs came piece by piece, and I was really inspired by just the simplicity and just the momentary vibe that he would have with doing music. And he never lost sight of his purpose. I mean, he was never a perfect man, but to be so purposeful and to be so like on it, no matter what he was going through. I remember he's kind of like, I don't want to say orphan, but he's kind of like one of those youths that never grew up with two parents. So there's a lot of internal trauma, and he did all of that while going through that. He made all that great music while going through that. And I think that's just phenomenal for any human being, from your mental health to your spiritual health to your physical health. He literally did all of this while going through all of that, while being shot at, all of those things. So it made me more brave with my music. It made me more open-minded, just really trying things, not waiting. Because sometimes you want to align things in a structure. You say, yo, suppose you do it, and then you probably mess it up. But, it starts with you. You are the creator. You are the artist. And I mean, of course, going into professional world, you do need other aspects to make the thing go. But you are the one. Like he said in that scene, we can build it. It's one of my favorite scenes. As simple as it is, we can build it. Because everything he did, he built. So that's what I'm doing with my career. Yeah, man. I was actually recording the album that we dropped during that time. Piece by piece, little by little, and you know, while going through the movie, it's like, yo, you know, without even like just thinking about, oh, Bob, you know, you just had that energy where I know I'm tired tonight, but I want to go and get this, or I know I'm this. So it definitely motivates me each and every day. You know, yeah, even my wife would tell him, man, I'm like, yeah, man, Marley, you know, Marley. Sometimes I just hear a Marley and I say, yeah, man, Marley, you know. Yeah, because, you know, it really, outside of the inspirationalness that he already had over the people, me personally, as a storyteller of his story through Carlton Barrett, yeah, man, is a crazy revolutionizing of the mind towards music. You know, because I didn't even mean to go too long, but he even, after Island Records, he started his own label, he started his own studio, he did a lot of things. You know, he was one of our, you know, futuristic pioneers who really was about modernization of music and independence of artists. So even, and I think that's where the root of it is for my motivation, the independence of our artists in terms of having your own studio, having your own merch design thing, having your own pressing your own records, you know, all of that kind of thing. You know, Bob kind of came and showed us in our, you know, Jamaica land we love in our diaspora that can be done. You don't have to wait on a big corporation to do it. So very inspiring, man. Yeah, very inspiring.
I love it.
Yeah,
We
man.
can talk about that all day, I'm sure.
Yeah, man. Trust me. Tough. Bob Marley, tough, man.
Yeah, for sure. It's so funny. My stepdad, he's always, when he talk about Bob Marley, he's like, them don't know say a real revolutionary rebel that,
no,
you
man.
know.
Yo, Michaela,
we don't
like,
take this one love thing for joy.
yeah, man. They don't understand.
Yeah.
Like when I remember, you know, he did a concert the night after he was shot, you know. Think about the trauma of being shot, let alone being shot at. Then get up to do a concert. Yeah, man, he's a man on a mission, man. Real revolutionary. He took everything and still did it. And that's not easy. Never ever easy. No man can tell me nothing. You get what I mean? I say so. I'm Marley, man. I'm Marley. Right, true. And you know, big up the Barrett family, you know, the whole family, Aston, who played his father, he was very instrumental in helping me to understand the support from the Barrett family. You know, they all show love to me for what I did in representing their uncle, and you know, so yeah, man. Yeah, man.
I love it. You know, I didn't even get to ask you, how did you get the name Roots, Hector Roots Lewis?
All right, so even with touring with Chronixx, before I came up with a name, because you know, Chronixx again was one of those artists that even his inspiration to me, it's somewhat similar to Bob, but it's more like in real time. And the bigger he got, I realized that, you know, branding and stuff like that. And especially at that time, I used to see other musicians who play for big names, you know, they'd have endorsement deals, they'd have a name, they'd have an actual, you know, brand or something working on. So at the time, I had dubbed myself Roots Percussionist, because one of the strengths of my style and one of the inspirations of my style as a percussionist was learning the root of every style of music, especially the ones that came from the Caribbean and from Africa. And so I kind of just took it on and called myself Roots Percussionist. And, you know, as we went along, when it came to deciding to become a songwriter and an artist, we wanted a name that would still remind them that, oh, it's the same Roots Percussionist, but without the focus on percussionist. And hence we decided to go with Hector Roots Lewis, because they would still be like, oh yeah, Roots still, you know what I mean?
Our Roots still.
Yeah, but that was the inspiration. I was like, and you know, Jamar, you know, aka Chronixx, we always, one of the things we shared as a band, not only him, Jerks, Evans, all of us, you know, Namdi was always trying to study how the people came before did it, you know, and from that type of study and conversations daily, on tour and everything, that's what really made me kind of zero in. And I also, you know, thought of myself of being a part of the legacy of percussionists and of musicians in Jamaica. So, you know, I mean, why not, you know, take it from the roots, you know, because it's always right there before you look forward, you know. So yeah, that's really it. That's really it, man.
So tell me about your new album, Cosmic Roots, and I'm assuming it's a mashup between your name and Johnny Cosmic since it's produced with him. So talk to me about how the collaboration came about, and of course, the project itself.
So the name now, it just so happened that in choosing that name out of a lot of names that myself and my management and the rest of the team was discussing one night, they had said it, but I still didn't go with it. I still wasn't feeling it until one day me and my manager was having a conversation. And when he said it, what really stood out to me was that in the next 5 to probably 10 years, you know, the way we do stuff and the way stuff will seem in terms of economically and just living the human experience is going to be way more modern than what we know. Mm-hmm. And so when I heard the name, I just felt like in 10 years, if somebody should pick up my record and say Cosmic Roots, it would just fit the time, you know. It wouldn't be too traditional, like, you know, yeah, which nothing is wrong with that. But I felt like it's something that can represent timelessly, you know, and that's what the name stood out for me. And then, yeah, you know, it worked between, you know, Johnny being Johnny Cosmic, me being Hector Roots. So it kind of just became a full circle moment in choosing that, because yes, we wanted to definitely find a name that suggested that this album and inspirations did come from the island and from the Bay Area in California, which is in Oakland, right? So that's basically it. The album, I mean, my manager, I was on tour with Tribal Seeds coming to the close, and my manager had took a flight to Oakland to meet with, you know, Johnny's management and the ineffable team. And that's kind of how the whole thing came together. You know what I mean? And I was on tour. He called me, FaceTime me, and introduced me to Johnny. And I mean, I already had known Adam from Ineffable, but you know, reintroduction. And we thought it was a cool vibe to make some music together, especially because I already had the music, but I had it in a stage where at that point I was looking for where this sound could go and how I could really make this sound be bigger and different from my first EP, my first body of work. And, you know, hearing what Johnny can do and what he's done and playing some of the music for him in the initial stage kind of just made sense that we could work on it. And even then I didn't really hear what it could be until we got in studio together, which we did. And yeah, that was great, man. Like he really put his cosmic sound on it, you know. And I mean, even before meeting with Johnny, you know, myself and my management, you know, we also sat down and came up with the concepts for this song and where I would go, you know, because I kind of write from storytelling and hearing different conversations and, you know, kind of using those elements to kind of, because a lot of the thing about this album, you know, it have an international song, but it really was me trying to keep the culture too as well. And things that I know about the culture and just everyday situations that I know. And a lot of it also was personal from even going through the pandemic. And a lot of things I went through mentally. And I think everybody, because I don't think we knew that the world could stop like that, you know what I mean? So,
absolutely.
Yeah, so that's where you have songs like Peace of Mind, because, you know, I went through a thing personally in that time where my peace of mind was, you know, became something that I had to prioritize it, because sometimes I almost felt like I was losing my mind, you know. So it's just a connection like that where between Johnny and, you know, writing the music, getting this new sound, new sonics, you know, sonically, you know, it was a real, you know, real collaborative moment. And that's pretty how much it happened, man. And I made trips between Jamaica and Oakland, and you know, made some ideas. Johnny put some ideas, and we just went back and forth until it was done. The features kind of came along the process. We never knew. We knew we wanted to have some features, but we didn't know who they were gonna be. So like for Fire, J-Book, that kind of just came through just, brethren shape and, the Ineffable team, knowing his team, and kind of got that together. Same thing for Busy Signal. Same thing for the Movement Vibe. And then now Case Music now is more a personal connection that I have, where Case also works with my management team as well. And is a younger artist in age from me, and somebody who I truly believe is going to change the landscape for his era. And so I wanted to have him be a part of something, because he's my brethren like that, and he really inspired me to, and like we say, he's my brethren like that. So I invited Case to be a part of Battle Cry, and yeah, it just worked out like that.
It's so interesting that you said storytelling. So as I was listening, I got that very much soundtrack of Jamaica feel from sound beats and celebration.
Yeah.
And that, I could visualize what you were talking about. So
nice.
It's like you described your writing style so perfectly. But what also stood out between the EP that you had and this project is your vocals kind of melt into the music. I think that was the most noticeable difference between that project and this one. So talk to me about that. Was that intentional as you?
Yeah. I mean, I even forget to say too, that was definitely intentional from the mixing side and the sonic side, right? But one of the highlights too about this album is that I played a lot of the things initially before even linking up with Johnny. And even in the Johnny process, I played some stuff too. And of course, he played a lot of stuff. He was very instrumental in the arrangement as well of the songs, in terms of when I had my ideas, there was just a lot of ideas in there. But he really helped me to build the story of each song and to build these ideas to which ones would come here, which ones would come there. He was also instrumental in some of the songwriting as well. So, but I really loved and I really wanted to play on these next set of songs that was gonna eventually be a project. Because for the Roots Man, I didn't play on anything really. I mean, I played percussion for some of the songs, but I wanted to be way more in the process. So I played the bass line, some of the bass lines. I played some of the drum tracks. I played some of the piano strums, some of the phrases I played as well. I want to highlight in Celebration a musician that I worked with, Louis Castle, who is a well-known musician in the California area and just worldwide. And he played a lot of great piano riffs and stuff on Celebration, actually. But being able to play and to produce alongside Johnny was a big highlight for me, because it was my first time doing it. But I already knew I had the ability to play these things, so that's why I took it on and did it. And that's basically how I've been producing since. I always work with other producers because I'm still developing the producer ear, but I definitely can play. I can play drums, I can play guitar, I can play bass, I can play keyboard. And I'm happy that I was able to do that on this project, and will do that for many projects to forward, So yeah.
So what's your favorite song on the album today? Because I'm sure it changes.
Thank you. No, thank you for adding. Yeah, because man, today, I think Peace of Mind, man.
I was playing Peace of Mind this morning.
Yeah, because it started out wanting to be sauna beat for a very long time, and then for a very long time it was Where I Belong, and then for a very long time it was Fire. But Peace of Mind was like the second track, leading up to the album to come out. And just even going on tour recently with Calibuds and seeing how it performs with the people and what people play on their socials, you know what I mean? I really got what the people got. And that was one of the songs that really is like my personal story, you know what I mean? And I think that's very powerful that my personal story could, you know, communicate to other people who probably know that kind of story, because we go through it daily, you know, going through things, covering it up, playing it off, you know, because we have to, you know, a part of the human experience, because we have to. But if we can be conscious that we can actually take the time out to slow down some of the time and prioritize without crashing out and then realizing to prioritize, then that's just a little bit better. And then the groove and everything, you know, all of that was intentional. But yeah, peace of mind right now, man. Peace of mind. I'm really happy to see people gravitated to Sauna Beat, because like I said, that was the first fave song, but peace of mind right now. Peace of mind right now.
I had to put today because I'm sure it changes daily. The energy changes too.
All right, you know what, to Michaela, man. You know what, in a real vibe, the whole album is my favorite, because even we were very intentional in choosing each track, from Peace of Mind going to Strength, from Strength going to, I believe, Dangerous, from Dangerous going to Battle Cry, going to Possibility, you know, Peace of Mind, you know, prioritizing peace of mind. You know, God, give me the strength to prioritize this peace of mind. God, we live in a world where I'm just even recently hearing that they don't even want to make public announcements about when there's widespread sicknesses that's out here in the world. So we have to be aware of, yes, living a good life, enjoying ourselves, going for our goals. But at any given time, you may be a part of a situation that you're just a victim of. So we have to just be conscious of that, you know, and then leading into Battle Cry, which is, again, our everyday internal, you know, pains that we feel, that like generational pains that we feel that we're not conscious of, you know, humanity, the seeds they sow, you know, ancient times so long ago. So, you know, a lot of the things we suffer now is from long time, you know, that the whole effect of it start. And then, you know, possibility, believing, because, you know, faith and hope, I think, is something that we have to be reminded of, especially in this time. Again, surviving the pandemic, surviving a lot of things. We're so sensitive, you know, to anything these days. Before that, no, man, you know, no, very sensitive. So we have to believe, and, you know, fire, music blazing like fire, Sauna Beat. That's where we come now to the enjoyment part, and to also specifically enjoying the Jamaican style of enjoyment, because even recently I was saying to my wife, like, yo, we actually party different from other parties. Like when you go to a Jamaican party versus a electronic house party versus something where it's so strictly hip hop, it's just a different vibe, even though they're similar. Yeah, man, it's different, man. It's just so different. You know what I mean? So,
and then it's different here versus in Jamaica.
Yeah, and I mean, New York and Jamaica is one and the same for me, you know, in certain ways. But it's just the Jamaican experience of, you know, celebration and Sauna Beat, where we are say, yo, you know, entertainment, enjoyment, the bar line full, the girl them pretty and I take them selfie, you know, all of those things is a part of just like remembering that, you know what I mean? And just highlighting it because I was a part of it and I've grew up in it, you know? So the whole album, Michaela, like the whole
I know the whole album. That, of course, you know, that's gonna be
for real,
baby.
Yeah, man. You know, so
And I usually, when I play new albums, I'll play them beginning to end, because I feel like that's the intent of which the artist wants you to hear it in.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
and
man.
It's the first time I wouldn't even change the order. I think it's exactly perfect the way
Thank
it is.
you. Yeah.
So
Like my manager said.
intention.
Yeah. No, man. Like my manager said, it was a nice contrast from reflective, a little bit a serious moment in Dangerous, and then coming into that enjoyment. And that's literally the story of my life in certain aspects, from the pandemic leading up to now, literally. You know, from the pain to the victory, you know, and to, you know.
It feel like a
Yeah.
dance. So you have the early warm and then you rinse the party.
Early juggling fi kick off the party. Yeah, man. And it's funny you said that. I remember me and Johnny reasoning, and just everybody on the team. I remember speaking about the inspiration of making these songs like day in, day out. I was making them saying like, yo, I'd like to even have a space in that section, because in the dance for me, it's funny. I don't know if people look at it. Probably the DJs do, but every section of our party, I don't know. Probably I don't speak specifically as Jamaican. The early one is so pivotal. People would even know. They probably don't think about it. But trust me, if you drop, shake it to the max too early, like where is it gonna drop?
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, yes, you can drop other throwbacks, but it won't feel just as same as if you're bringing it in between. Even if you're mixing something that's just a big tune over the last 20 years, but you still want to keep that section where it's the tunes that are bopping up. So the early one is very, and I was kind of like, yo, I'd want to be in that section. And sometimes people be like, you know, if you look at it, say you can't even be in, you know, in the later section or whatever. But I just like just the whole chronological vibe of how a party, you know, without thinking about it, the early one, the mid section, the late vibe where it's just the girl tune them, you know, the bad man tune them, you know what I mean? So I just that, you know.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining me to talk music, your latest album, and all the things that you're working on. Tell the people where they can find you.
Yes, so this is Hector Roots Lewis, and you can find me on Instagram, Hector Roots Lewis, and TikTok, Hector Roots Lewis, and Spotify, Hector Roots Lewis, and Apple Music, Hector Roots Lewis.
Everywhere, Hector Roots Lewis.
No, except Twitter, which is or whatever. Roots Lewis, right? Okay. And man, stream it, play it, you know, love it, share it.
If there was a first song, I think I know what song that would be. If there is one song that you want people to hear off the album, which one would it be? Start with this one.
Strength.
Okay. Oh, okay. I thought it was gonna be Peace of Mind.
No, man, Strength. Okay, I mean, is my favorite song certainly, but Strength, you know. I'm an artist, you know, again, you know, I really give thanks for Chronixx. He really showed me the power of music, you know. And of course, you can make enjoyment music, but let me tell you, man, in years to come, if you serve humanity as a musician and as a creative with music where we really help them, then that's how you become revolutionary, you know what I mean? Some of us have to take on different missions. Some of us have to fight it, you know, physically and, you know, but strength, man, because people need that, you know. People need to know so them can acknowledge the creator and that the creator can be there, and that by giving praise to the creator, that's how your blessing come. No matter who you is, come as you are, the Lord will accept you, you know what I mean? And I have a big church, you know, background, even though I'm not necessarily in the church, but I've done my work in the church as a youth, and I see myself doing my work out here, you know, for the Almighty and towards creativity and just the human consciousness and experience. And I believe we must serve people, because that's the real power of music outside of the enjoyment and everything. Trust me. Yeah, man.
I love it. Thank you. So you over here inspired me. Thank you guys so much.
Give thanks, man.
I really appreciate it. Well, people, until next time.
Man.
Hector Roots Lewis. Make sure you guys stream the album, buy a vinyl, support Pantour, all of the things, and please support reggae music.
I don't mean to cut you. I want to just big up everybody, you know, big up the management team from Creative Tribe, big up the Ineffable team, right? Big up all the musicians who worked on the project, you know, big up all the DSPs who's added to their list, all the editorials, big up Michaela and the Style and Vibes podcast for having me, and all the other interviewers and everybody who made this project a moment and a reality right now, you know. Big up to me, even my family, my personal family, my wife who support me, all my family members, all my friends, you know, enough love. You see me? Yeah, man.
Thank you. All right. Until next time. Later, my peeps.
Yeah, later. Oh.
Thanks for listening to the latest episode of the Style and Vibes podcast. If you like what you hear, and I know you do, share it with your friends and family. If you want more, make sure you visit styleandvibes.com and follow us on our social channels, Twitter and Instagram at Style and Vibes. Until next time, Leah Tommy Peeps.